Barack Obama gave a speech today that is a new historic low. In decades to come, scholars, experts, even the common man will learn about this speech. As the Islamo-Nazis in Tehran nuke up, put warheads on their ICBMs, they will remember this speech as the world remembers Neville Chamberlain waving around his so-called treaty, his deal with Adolf Hitler. Except, as I explained in the past many times, this is worse. Because there have been other deals with the very same Islamo-Nazi regime, and every single one of them has been violated. To the point where this regime literally is within months of getting nukes, if not years. And to the point where they defend their nuclear program, where only a few years ago they denied they had one. We have exactly the wrong man in the wrong place, in the wrong time in American history. And he is hell-bent on cutting this deal with the Islamo-Nazi regime for his own delusion and self-aggrandizement. He is a pure demagogue, a pure ideologue. And he likes talking smack. He likes building straw men. This is how he got Obamacare through. This is how he does everything that he does. He lives in his own reality, the one between his ears. And because there is no effective political opposition, because the judiciary has thrown in with this imperial president, there's very few ways to stop him. Now, he and his Secretary of State, John Kerry, continually say that if this deal is not approved by Congress, there'll be war. That's the only option. So the only option to capitulation is war. Now, you know that's not true. I know that's not true. But by saying it time and again, and his Secretary of State saying it time and again, they're telling the enemy that if Congress doesn't pass and adopt this phony deal, that they fully expect war. That's the message they're sending to the enemy. So Obama gives yet another Castro-like speech, but this one the lowest of the low. Filled with lies, attack lines, his cockiness, all of his worst character traits, such as they are, on display. Now, before we get into what he said, and we will because you need to know, the problem with this deal isn't so much even what it does to countries that are surrounded or are in the region of Iran. It's what it does to us. These intercontinental ballistic missiles, their technological advances don't stop. So when this so-called deal is over, effectively in 10 years, they can rush to MIRV and make nuclear warheads and put them on these missiles. Well, how many of you have 10-year-old children, 5-year-old children, 20-year-old children? How does this make them any safer? As soon as this deal went into place, it was presented, even before actually, I told you, this is the beginning of World War III. The seeds of World War III have been planted. I won't bore you having Mr. Producer pull it out and play and demonstrate how brilliant I am. That's not the point. The point is there will be war, and there will be war thanks to what Obama has done and is doing. There will be war thanks to what John Kerry has done and is doing. And every single Democrat and Republican who vote for this, same thing. Now, one other fact. The UN Security Council has already approved this. They've already approved it. And so much of this will go into effect no matter what Congress does. So why would there be war? From the perspective, from the argument that Obama and Kerry make, they're going to get their $150 billion. They're going to build up their military assets. They are free to continue to fund Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis in Yemen and any other terrorist front group that serves their surrogates. They're free to continue to kidnap Americans because they know full well this president and this Secretary of State, like none other before them, will surrender them. All in the name of humanity, of course. Now, there's a breaking story from Josh Rogan and Eli Lake over at Bloomberg. A breaking story that Iran has already sanitized one of its key nuclear sites. U.S. intelligence community has informed Congress of evidence that Iran was sanitizing its suspected nuclear military site at Parchin in broad daylight days after agreeing to a nuclear deal with world powers. For senior lawmakers in both parties, the evidence calls into question Iran's intention to fully account for the possible military dimensions of its current and past nuclear development. The International Atomic Energy Agency and Iran have a side agreement meant to resolve past suspicions about the Parchin site, and lawmakers' concerns about it has already become a flashpoint because they don't have access to the text. Intelligence officials and lawmakers have seen the new evidence, which is still classified, told us that satellite imagery picked up by U.S. government assets in mid and late July showed that Iran had moved bulldozers and heavy machinery to the Parchin nuclear site, and that the U.S. intel community concluded with high confidence that the Iranian government was working to clean up the site ahead of planned inspections by the UN. So now Obama knows this. Kerry knows this. Ash Carter, the latest Secretary of Defense, he knows this. And yet they continue to press ahead. They continue to press ahead. Our friend Joel Pollack, writing at Breitbart, Obama defended the Iran deal today, accusing Republicans in Congress of making common cause with the hardliners of the Iranian regime by opposing it. Obama addressed an audience of students and journalists at American University. He made the accusation towards the end of his address, despite complaining in his introduction that critics of the Iraq War had once been treated badly. The partisan message was less an appeal to the nation and more an appeal to wavering, undecided Democrats. Drawing parallels to John Kennedy and Ronald Reagan, Obama noted that both had negotiated arms reductions treaties with the Soviet Union. After that perfunctory appeal to history and statesmanship, Obama launched into a characteristic partisan attack. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The man is illiterate on so many fronts. There is no comparison with Reagan negotiating with the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union had nuclear missiles. We didn't enter into an agreement empowering the Soviet Union to create more nuclear missiles or better ICBMs. They already had nuclear missiles. Iran does not have nuclear missiles today, but they will as a result of this deal that Obama has cut and these side agreements that this administration claims they haven't read, although one in the administration claims she has read it. Well, I remember what Ronald Reagan said when he signed the INF Treaty. The INF Treaty, which limited and reduced nuclear warheads between the United States and the Soviet Union. Here's exactly what he said. Cut 18, go.
But the importance of this treaty transcends numbers. We have listened to the wisdom in an old Russian maxim, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. Mr. General Secretary, though my pronunciation may give you difficulty, The maxim is, doviai no proviai, trust but verify.
Но значение
На
этого...
каждой встрече вы это повторяете.
You repeat that at every meeting.
Trust but verify. Obama treats his domestic and political opponents with more contempt, more distrust, in fact, more straight-out hate than he does an Islamo-Nazi regime that has as its purpose to get nuclear warheads, to put them on ICBMs and threaten the United States of America. The man is screwed up. I've said it before and I have to underscore it. The man is screwed up. He has a loose screw. But he's unencumbered. He's unencumbered because we're in a post-constitutional period, thanks to many people, including him and the Republican leadership in Congress. If they had not surrendered the power of the treaty process, this would be defeated. If they had not surrendered it, he wouldn't be so cocky. He wouldn't be so all damn sure of himself, would he? Because he would need two-thirds of the members of the Senate present to get ratification. And instead, we have to watch a conga line of Republicans go on TV, complain about what Obama's doing, when, in fact, they created the scenario for what Obama is doing. The most dangerous threat that America faces isn't China, isn't Russia, isn't even the Islamo-Nazis. The greatest threat America faces is Barack Obama.
Mark Levin.